What's up, everyone? It is Monday, March 3rd. Welcome in. A weekend full, or week, I guess, almost a week of combine. We got veterans being released today all over the NFL. Another franchise tag applied to a wide receiver. Talk about the franchise tag because I think people all agree it stinks. And I know why we have it. It affects a small amount of players, and that's why the owners keep it. But no one likes it. Players and owners, players and general managers will talk about it as T. Higgins got tagged today. Also, Foe, where's Foe? My dog turns 2 today. There he is right there. Happy birthday, Foe. All right, guys, let's talk about the combine. So I went in 2008 as a player, right? It was at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Obviously, Lucas Oil Stadium has now been built, and it was a little different than what happens now. It was my first time going back since that time. My buddy Duke Manyweather, you catch him, I think it's at Big Duke 50 on social media. He trains not all, but the top offensive linemen in the draft each and every year, and then trains them during the off seasons once they find a home and once they get in the National Football League. And so wanted me to go for years. And he invited me, as he has many years in a row. I was able to make it this year, along with Brandon Thorne. You should follow him as well. I think it's at Brandon Thorne NFL. The three of us text every day about offensive line play, football, random life stuff. So it's good to get together and do this all in Indianapolis for what was 48 hours for me. Duke was there, I think, Thursday night through Sunday. Thorne was there Thursday through Sunday as well, because the offensive line worked out yesterday. And I'll reiterate before I get into the magic of the combine and why it's so great. As we go through the workouts, and they're over now, remember, we talked about this last week. I want to reiterate this. The workouts are there to cross-check the film. The best example of this is Tez Johnson, Oregon wide receiver, 154 pounds. We're in a 4.51. That is surprising. You would like a wide receiver to that size to run faster than that, right? 4.4. Something in the 4.3s. He didn't. If you go back and watch the film, I put a clip up at Jeff Schwartz on Twitter, I should say, where I showed 3 plays from this season where clearly he plays faster than his film. So you have to go back and look. Why did Tez Johnson run slow at the combine? His 3 cone, by the way, was great, which is change of direction. Short shuttle, not great. Miles power, when the GPS is on him, the gauntlet drill was good. So you got to go back and watch the film. Why is this? Why is he slower in theory running a 40 than we saw on film, right? You go back and look at it. Now, was he a day 2 guy? Now he's a day 3 guy on that alone? Probably not. Probably his weight is a little concerning at that size. Not many wide receivers play national football at that size. There are obviously guys that have done it well, but that alone might drop him around. I'm not sure the 40 will matter very much. Another guy, Booker, the guard for Alabama, number 1 guard in the class. Great film. Not a great workout. It didn't match what we thought we were getting from Booker. And there's also swings the other way, right? Where guys test out of this world. And there was, the kid at Arkansas, the defensive end, who had a 41.5, 42 vert, maybe it was 43 vert. So you go back and you say, does this show up on film? For majority of the players, for 90% of the players, the film matches the workout, and more importantly, the workout matches the film. And there's not much to take away from the workout other than, okay, they look fluid. And there's times you watch an offensive lineman run or anyone run, and you just want to see, are they a fluid athlete? Do they move like they should? And seasoned eyes can tell that. I'm sure you can tell at home watching, this guy's a good athlete, this guy's a bad athlete. So the combine itself, you always hear stories. Well, I'll save that for a second. Talk about more about the athlete part of this. We'll save the stories for the end. The way these players are preparing and will prepare and have prepared for the combine is different than obviously I experienced, but seeing it firsthand it's quite a production. So you have the trainer who's there to train the player, and often the facility that they're at, and both show up in Indianapolis. They move the facility from wherever they're at to Indianapolis. So, for example, Duke is with Sports Academy. It's in Dallas. They had Frisco. They had an entire basic team there, right? They had a massage therapist, a physical therapist, a rehab person. I mean, all 3 there, nutritionist, all the speed coaches, the strength coaches, they're all there in Indianapolis to prep these players. And there is an entire side of the conference center that has multiple turf fields to work out on. It has a weight room. It has bikes and cardio equipment. And then it has a little bit of a player's lounge. And these players, not just from Sports Academy, from a lot of places, as they're getting ready to work out the next day or 2 days later, they're in there getting their bodies prepped. They're doing mobility. They're doing dynamic movements. They're doing a little bit of starts and stops with the 40 and some more movement ability and skills. And that's something that just we didn't have when I was going through it. You worked out if you wanted to in the hallway of the hotel. And so these players now are, more than ever should be running well, should be training well. Their weight's dialed in. Players are getting off the field of these training sessions, getting handed food to eat immediately. That's perfectly portioned to what they need. And they're so dialed in. They know their hydration amounts. They know what they're going to weigh. They know what they're going to jump. They know what they should run. It's all projected out. And the science behind it is pretty remarkable to watch. I've never seen it in person before like I did this past week. So these athletes should do well, right? It used to be, and I think it's still a stressful environment, but it's made a little easier when basically you bring home to Indianapolis, which is what they did. And not just Sports Academy, but plenty of people did the same thing. There was, I think, Quinn Ewers I saw throwing, was quarterback coach for a time there, who was throwing to a TCU wide receiver. There were other guys that were running 40s, they're preparing for the 40s, they're twitching their bodies up, getting ready to go. So the part of the combine that gets discussed, but I think maybe under discussed, is the social scene of the combine. And this is where I just had never experienced it before. So, I was playing, my agent would say to me, hey, I'm going to the combine. I'll have an answer for you on, with your free agency or contract status after the combine. And I thought that maybe it was more formal. And I still think there's a formal part of it that I don't get to see, but where you sit down with a general manager somewhere in a meeting room and you knock out this meeting and you get it done. And there is part of that to Indianapolis. But what it is more often than not is just you're having a drink, you're having a dinner, you're meeting someone at a coffee shop. So Indianapolis, for those who have not been there, everything's connected by sky bridges because it's cold in the winter. So it's a great convention city. I've been there for the Big Ten championship game, been there for the Big Ten media day last year. It's a great city for that. And there's multiple hotels connected via these walkways and these paths. And you can just go to a hotel, the JW Marriott, the Westin, the Hyatt, and just sit in the lobby. And the NFL personnel that's staying there, they're just walking by. And you can just say, hey, man, can we chat? Let's have a drink. Let's get a coffee. It's so informal at times. And this is where the deals get done. It's why you come back from the combine and we've already had multiple deals, whether franchise tags or whether players are being released. We'll talk about that in a second. And whether, it's guys going up and down draft boards. It's all from just mingling the entire time. Unofficial meetings, official meetings. We went to dinner Friday night at a steakhouse and there were multiple NFL coaches there, not with us, just there. And there was a team upstairs having dinner. There's a team in a sunroom having dinner, and everyone just drinks and hangs out and has a good time and shakes hands and mingles and networks. And that's how this stuff is getting done. And I never experienced it in person. I thought it was overblown how it gets done. And it exactly how I think I was told it happens, exactly how it happens. And it was fun to watch. Food was good too. You see people, for me, that offensive line coaches, player personnel, people that I had been around my career, getting to see them was fun. I get why people enjoy the combine. It's a very fun opportunity for people to in the industry to get to know each other, get to see each other, mingle, talk shop, talk life, talk ball. I got to go to an offensive line luncheon, which is pretty fun. My buddy Kyle Devan now with the Chicago Bears. Got to meet some offensive line coaches. It's interesting that I'm 38 now, so a lot of the people that I played with or my peers are now becoming coaches. So it's fun to see that as well. It's just a football environment, man. If you are in the business around the business, you have to be in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. So ton of fun. I'll go back next year. Give a shout out again, Duke and Sports Academy for what they did. Good seeing my guy Brandon there. Gary Frazier was there. Good. The four of us all hanging out together with around Duke, because what he's doing is incredible for these offensive linemen. All right, let's talk franchise tag. So Tee Higgins got franchise tag today, along with Trey Smith. I think the Cowboys are franchising one of their defensive linemen. It's not used a lot this year. And what a franchise tag essentially is a placeholder, right? And it's a little punitive toward the team because the franchise tag benefits really nobody. And the only person that can be sort of harmed by it is the team. That's why it's expensive. Now, a player can be harmed by not getting a long-term contract. We'll talk about that in a second. But it gets rather expensive, right? The Chiefs tagged Trey Smith, $23.5 million. The Bengals tagged Tee Higgins today for second year in a row, $26 million. That's a big number against the cap. And this is why the franchise tag, it's going to stay, but why it doesn't benefit anyone, right? So let's talk about both those players or both those teams. That's a big number to carry, right? When you're not a quarterback or an impact player, a defensive end, a corner, something like that. And when you're trying to win a championship, you're trying to have that balance between how much we're going to put on the cap and how much we're going to pay the player and how much we're going to extend in the future. And when you franchise tag someone, that number is on the cap immediately, and it starts immediately on March 12th when free agency begins. And so the Bengals really want to have a $26 million cap hit on Tee Higgins. The Chiefs want a $23 million cap hit on Trey Smith. The answer is no, right? You like to lower that cap hit on a new deal and then be able to build around, obviously, Burrow and Higgins and Chase, all those guys, and Trey Hendrickson, hopefully, and build around those guys to have a championship team put in place now. You don't want to have a giant cap hit for a wide receiver like Tee Higgins or like an offensive lineman like Trey Smith, because you want to build your team around those guys. And by having a 4 or 5 year deal, even adding void years on the end, you spread out that cap hit over the years, or you wait and you have that cap hit 4 years from now or 3 years from now. And then you don't obviously have to worry about it now, and you can build the best roster around the players that are there. And of course, the players don't want the franchise tag because that limits their ability to hit the free market, right? So let's say, now look, if Tee Higgins would hit the free market, we get $26 million? No. A year, I should say. No, I don't think so. Would Trey Smith get 23 or 24? Maybe, but that's on the high end of that as well, of offensive line play. And so while it is guaranteed, $26 million, the franchise is guaranteed. If you sign that franchise tag, it is guaranteed. It's not as much guaranteed money as you would get if you were to market yourself to the free market. And that's why players don't like it either. So owners don't like it because, not owners, I keep saying owners today. General managers don't like it because it's really can hamstring your cap. Players don't like it, of course, because it limits their opportunity to make money on the free market and get that guaranteed contract, right? Look, the first couple of years of your deal as a rookie, it might be guaranteed, but it could be only guaranteed for injury or not for skill. But it's really minuscule the amount of money you'd make on a second contract. I mean, Trey Smith was a 6th-round draft pick. Now, he's made some money, obviously, player performance bonuses, and also is a Super Bowl champion in the postseason, but he's not made that, that life-changing money. I know, look, it's a lot of money, and people take offense when I say things like that because it might be life-changing for you and I. But in terms of NFL contracts, Trey Smith has not hit that contract yet. Tee Higgins has not hit that contract yet. And they want as much guaranteed money as they can get as soon as possible because you don't know about injuries, you don't know about play, and the franchise tag limits the opportunity to get as much money as possible up front. So what it does do is try to get the teams to come. The teams, by the way, the wide receiver and his agent and his team and the front office for the Bengals, let's say, to get together and figure out a solution. Because again, the player wants guaranteed money, the team doesn't want that cap hit, and you probably come in somewhere between the two of those, right? Where the team says, "Hey, we want to give you 23 a year," and the wide receiver says, "We want 26 a year," and you come in at 24 and a half, right? You come in somewhere in the middle. Sorry, I'm a little thirsty there. And then, and also the tag, really can hurt teams that need free agents. Trey Smith would be big in the open market. Higgins would be big in the open market. Now they're not. Now they won't be. Now, trades can still happen. We've seen tag trades with someone with Jerry Sneed last season, but you have to give up a draft pick to then get a wide receiver. If I'm a team needing a wide receiver, there are teams that need T. Higgins, and they could use T. Higgins. But are you really going to trade for him and then pay him if you're not a contender now? Let's talk about taking us to like the Panthers per se. I'm not trading a draft pick for T. Higgins. I'd be very surprised. If it was a team that needs a wide receiver, needs to win a championship, maybe you go in for that guy. Trey Smith, I don't really see like the Bears being like, hey, man, give you a 4th-round pick for him, 3rd-round pick. I don't see that happening. So this is a way for teams to try to use their leverage to get a new deal, use their leverage to get a trade. Players can just hold out to nothing on the franchise tag, and that's their form of protest. I would imagine that in the end, T. Higgins gets the money he wants. Trey Smith is the one I don't know, man. I don't see the Chiefs re-signing him. You can rescind the tag too, by the way, if a player doesn't sign it. So worth mentioning there. All right, last part of today before I get going here. So we're seeing veterans get released today. Darius Slay, Alex Kappa, and this is the time where players are coming off the combine and they're being told that they're being released. As I mentioned, combine, wheeling and dealing, you talk to general managers, you had these meetings, you come out knowing what the team's plans are. The next season starts in a week. So teams have to set their cap. They're going to be under the cap before the league year starts. And they're making decisions this week, final decision on whether they're keeping guys or not, as they calculate what they can afford for 2025. That's why this is the week this happens. And it is never easy to get cut. I've been cut a bunch of times. Team calls you, hey, man, we're releasing you. I'd imagine the call of Darius Slay is different than the call I got because Darius Slay is Super Bowl champion. But even if you know that call is coming, your agent might warn you. It's never easy to lose your job, man. It never gets normalized, never feels good. And the players today, and I get it, they make a lot of money and they have great careers and they have a life that you and I may not live, but it's never easy to get that call from the team and say, hey, man, we're releasing you. You want to feel wanted. You want to feel loved. You want to feel like you have a job and some security in life. And those things are gone immediately when someone they text you. And there's no, again, Darius Slay is different. He might have a relationship with the Eagles. He won a championship moving forward. But a lot of times, like, that's it, man. You go from having a job to no job. I'm not saying anything you guys don't know in quote unquote real life, right? But your friendships are gone. You're in a new city possibly now. You're going back home and whatnot. But at least they let the players know early. They could go get a jump start on free agency, which doesn't happen all too often. A lot of players get cut like now aren't big name free agents come the postseason. I mean, come the start of the year, except Darius Slay will be one of them. But cap casualties, that's what happens this time of year. There's a real cap. Everyone thinks it's not real. There's a real cap, everyone. All right, guys. It's been real today. I enjoyed it. We'll talk more tomorrow about the Deebo Samuel trade and some other things that'll pop up in the National Football League. Have a great day. Take care, everyone. Peace.